day, family, and yet again, thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode of Praise Accelerates Grace with Shanae Blackway. I am honored, I am excited, and I am very happy that I can introduce such an amazing mom, wife, the beautiful, the smart, the caring sister. She's just everything in one. The founder of Pink Warrior Foundation, Pungi Baloy. Hoe gaan dit?
Goed, dank en jou.
I love greeting you. You know, that's already our phrase.
Ek weet man, ek is goed, ek is baie goed.
You are a busy woman. I know that. And I have the opportunity to sit down with you and speak about something that, you know, so many people would shy away from. And I sometimes wonder how we do it. Myself included, you know, to allow people into a space that is so sensitive, but yet we keep going. It's good to see you. You look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You also look stunning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So obviously, your journey has been one of resilience, one that none of us can prepare for cancer, right? And we are going to jump into taking us back to the day that you were diagnosed.
So that day, I'll remember it for the rest of my life, you know. It was November 2007. I was at work in the morning. So I left my laptop there, told my boss I've got a doctor's appointment, but I knew I was going back for my results because I had already done the biopsies and all of that. And I hadn't told anyone that I had done all of those things, the biopsies, and there was suspicion that there might be, you know. And I drove myself to the doctor's office, and there was a lot of people in the queue. There was a lot of people, and I was just sitting there thinking, praying, like whatever it is that's going to come out of there, let it be good news, you know, hoping for the best. Eventually went in, and when I sat down, the doctor, the first question that she asked me was, do you have a history of cancer in your family? So already I knew what my results were from that biopsy. So it was, I'm telling you, I couldn't drive myself back to the office. I think I sat in the car for an hour just crying, trying to get my strength back to, you know, get home. I couldn't get hold of my husband. He was working, so his phone was off. My mom lived in Mafikeng, that's like 3 hours away from Joburg, you know. But yes, I do have people around that I could speak to, but just that moment of the doctor saying, you've got metastatic breast cancer. And I didn't even know what metastatic is. You know, with breast cancer, you get hit with all these big words and you're thinking, okay, what is that, you know? So it's one day that I will never forget for the rest of my life.
Now, so many people have stories of how they were diagnosed with cancer, and, you know, so many of us can openly share our journeys, but we know, coming from a cultural background as myself and yours, we often have to be very careful who we share our journeys with and how it will impact them. I would just like to ask you that after your cancer diagnosis, obviously you now have to share this with your family. And can you just take us through that? Having to tell your family that you have been diagnosed with cancer?
It was difficult. It was very difficult. So after gathering the strength in the car, I called because my husband's phone was off, I called my mom, but she couldn't come to me. She was in Mafikeng. I called my husband's manager, spoke to him and told him. He says, okay, just if you can, drive yourself home. I got home and I went straight into bed. Like I didn't speak to anyone until my husband got home and told him the news. And I think him and my mom are the ones that broke it to the rest of the family. As a funny story, my friend, who's also from the Northwest in Mafikeng, I'm named after my grandmother, Rebecca Butsadi Baloy. So on the same day that I get diagnosed, she also hears the news that, and she had gone to the graveyard to fix something at her, I think it's her grandmother's grave or someone in her family. And she sees the stone with my names on it. She was like for a second confused, like, didn't they say she's just got diagnosed? How could she be dead and has a stone already? No, she called me, and that put a giggle on my face, my face to think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how my story unfolded, through my husband, through my family, my mom, and my husband's mom. But I had people around me who supported me throughout, so there was never a point where I felt alone,
Yes.
or any shame, any form of shame from the disease. Only love is what I got and what I received.
And I think family, as we all know, so many of us, when we hear a cancer diagnosis, immediately it wasn't strange for her friend to think that this could be a death sentence. And maybe she fell and then we buried her on the same day. But we sometimes laugh about the things that would make others cry. And this again just shows the strength and the resilience that we need around us when we are facing this difficult times. So our support structure is very important. I know that for Pungi, your setup was completely different. Besides being such an amazing woman and doing so much for the community already, we'll speak about your foundation soon. Your husband is a public figure. I'm not going to have to mention any names, but I would just like for you to tell us how hard that must have been in his career at the time and how that affected him as your supporter.
I think that was, cancer is such a bittersweet thing, As painful and difficult as it was, it brought us together. It brought us so much closer. Things that we didn't do together before, like praying together, and we'd pray, but everyone does it at their own time and stuff. And like you're saying, because of his public status, he took it upon himself. When he used to play at that time, he would put a pink scarf around his neck every time. People at that time, they didn't know. I hadn't shared my story with anyone. People had different, like, why is he wearing a pink? Is he trying to tell us something? But the support that he showed me, and there was a point where I joined a group, support group, Journey of Hope. We were talking and sharing our stories with the people. So it was a motorbike ride and whatever. My husband went and bought himself a bike and he started riding, and, he really got into it with me. He bought me books that I could read together just to, one of the books that he bought me was also one book that really showed me that this is not the end of the road, So yeah, the support honestly is something that is amazing. If you don't have anyone, that's what breaks my heart, because that is something that helps us to heal better.
Wow.
Having people around you to carry you through the journey is really, really important. So yeah, my husband was number one supporter.
Yeah, and I've seen it with my own eyes, right? I believe that the Pink Warrior Foundation is obviously something that you are very passionate about and that has helped so many lives. Just briefly telling us how the foundation started and what his role and your role and how it is helping other patients as well.
So we've had a foundation before Pink Warrior. We've had the Brian Baloy Family Foundation for years, I think since 2009. And the pillars of the foundation was sports, health, and education. So we were doing all of those under that one brand. And in 2022, then we decided to take away the health aspect from the BBF, because I felt like the cancer needed its own space to not shine, but to do the work that it needed to do. Out of his shadow, because when you see his name, it's soccer, it's sports. And so I needed the cancer aspect of the foundation to be, to stand out. That's how the Pink Warrior Foundation element started. I'm passionate about cancer issues, and what we do through the foundation is support, is promoting early detection, because in townships, in rural areas, people don't have access to, the places are there, but they're far away. Some people don't even know where to even begin when you told them about breast cancer, like what is that? So our role is to promote early detection, and so that people can present early, because most of the time, by the time people get to the hospital, the cancer has already progressed.
Yes.
So that is our main mission, to ensure that people get tested as early as possible, and supporting obviously the other people that are already going through the journey through counseling. So that's basically what we are. And our big dream is to have an oncology clinic in the Northwest, specifically Mafikeng, because people don't get chemo or radiation there. There's no place. They have to go to like the next town for that. So if I can see that happen, that will be like the biggest achievement and dream for me, to have that oncology clinic.
And to my surprise, ladies and gentlemen, we obviously are under the impression that there are oncology centers all over South Africa. Unfortunately, so many families does not have the same treatments as the biggest cities, and that causes so much delay. And obviously, early detection saves lives. And if you don't have the necessary resources, unfortunately, your chances are slimmer. And the Pink Warrior Foundation has not only tackled a gap in our health system, but definitely economically and socially, we are not discriminated when it comes to cancer. We know that it does not care who we are. And the fact that Pink Warrior Foundation has started, and you guys have in mind to take it back home where it all started for you, I believe that your family must be so proud of you. And if you know Pungi, you could see that she is not someone that speaks a lot, but using your voice and obviously all the hard work that your husband and yourself has put into over the years to be that beacon of hope for other cancer survivors. I remember when we met the first time, you were such a quiet person. You are such a quiet person. You are very demure, very classy. And I remember the first thing someone told me was, she's the boss today. And I was like, I'm the boss. I was screaming there, I was saying, boss lady, come do this, come do this. And I love how you allow others to shine through your journey. So thank you so much for not only giving me the opportunity to speak on your behalf. I remember with the event, we had so much fun. And you allowed us to be ourselves. And that is what I love about the Pink Warrior Foundation. I did not know where I was until it was too late. And you looked after me and you never stopped. I have known you for such a short period of time, but I've learned so much from you. And I thank you for being that support structure to myself and my family. Speaking of that one thing that you remember, that sparkle or that joy, we haven't gone into how your cancer journey has been. If you can just tell us like your journey with cancer and how you ultimately then went through that journey and that spark or that joy that came in after that.
I think it kicked in very early in my journey, specifically meeting other survivors. I think for me, that was like the moment where I was like, wow, okay. Because I was with Prof. Ben as well. And then she introduced me to this lovely girl. Her name was Claudia. Tiny, very young. And I'm thinking, I thought I was young, but she was I think, 26. And she had already gone through her chemo. She had gone through surgery. She was busy with radiation at the time. And, just speaking to her just changed everything for me. It literally changed everything. Me thinking this is the end, or, and the joy that she had in so much life, so much, I was like, okay, if this is how people with cancer look and behave, then I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. So with that was literally the spark. And then from there, I started meeting other survivors, started talking to other people. And that really eased my heart, made my journey easier. And like you're saying, I'm a very quiet person. I don't like speaking, but I was thrust into this position. I was not going to keep quiet about. I stand on stages and speak, even with my voice shaking. I will stand and speak. Somebody will hear my story. In that cracked voice, they will hear my journey and it will give them hope. Somebody will start touching their breast, and if they find a lump, like, that lady, So that is the one thing that keeps me going. So even in my shy personality and all, I still do it. I know God didn't put me here. It's not a mistake that I am in this position. And yeah, I do it with joy, with trembling, but I do it and it gives me so much peace and joy.
I know so many of us as survivors are mothers, right? And we struggle with day-to-day tasks, and we lose it, right? Because besides being a mother, you are so many other things. You have to make sure that the house is fine. You have to make sure that your spouse is fine. You have to make sure that your extended family is fine. How did your journey with cancer impact how you see motherhood?
My son was 3 at the time when I got sick the first time. When I say I have community around me, it's an understatement. Like from family and friends, literally. They came through for me because at that time you see how important your role is that you might have somehow taken for granted. And when you see these people stand around you, I think that's what keeps me going even today, to have received so much love from even strangers, With my little one, my friends would come on weekends and take him to the movies with their kids. My friends, if they're not available, maybe someone will send a husband with food, because my husband was always busy, If he's not around, you just see someone at the door, we brought you lunch. My husband, when he's not around, his mom, because his mom is close by. After surgery, I remember she would come literally bath me when I couldn't bath myself, My mom felt bad that she was so far away. She couldn't be with me. But, and at that moment, you appreciate your mothers even more to see. Wow. And one thing that came out of this, my husband cooks now, right? I don't cook anymore since that time. My husband has taken over the kitchen and he loves it. And it was him now saying, I'm going to step in and see how I can make the burden lighter for you. And that was the best thing that came out of my journey. Yeah.
You need to invite me over so that I can put Bob Brian. I'm going to call him Bob Brian Baloy on TikTok, and I'll say, cooking with Brian Baloy, cooking.
Yeah, no, he's a good cook.
Yeah, and I know this because you would have stopped him and said, okay, baby,
yeah,
maybe not today,
but
no. Since 2008, 9, 2025.
He loves it, and he's getting better. He's getting better at it.
I hate that sometimes we look at life and, we think that's impossible. There's no way I can reach that goal. After fighting cancer, in your case, twice, I know you encouraged me with my second diagnosis. Looking back, what is one thing briefly that you now know is possible after fighting cancer twice?
I think for me, it's just life and love. I just, every morning when I wake up, I just say, thank God for life. And the other day I was like, you're not so creative. But I was like, I don't have to be creative. Yes. This is the one thing that I am grateful for. And there's nothing else that I appreciate more than I'm here almost 17 years later. Yes. I'm raising my kids. There's nothing more I want out of life than just breathing and being healthy, being able to get out of bed on my own without having someone to help me up or whatever. So honestly, that's life. I appreciate it so much now.
And I always say this is my least favorite part of the show because with every guest, I am so inspired and I feel so touched. And most importantly, I learn so much. I think I've mentioned how many times I have had to lean on you with my own issues, and you have always just shared it with so much grace. You have taught me how to be a better mom, a better wife, and most importantly, a better sister. And thank you so much for honoring the invitation today. I know that so many people's lives will be impacted by your story. I cannot thank you enough for allowing us to come into this space and giving us that hope. I know that so many of us are sometimes so hard on ourselves, viewers, and we forget about the little things, because that is all that matters. The fact that you got up this morning can be something that can keep you going for yet another week. So do not take for granted the gift of life and the gift of being able-bodied, because so many patients and cancer patients does not have the same opportunity. From myself and our amazing team from Praise Accelerates Grace, Shanae Blackway, your host, don't forget to join us next time. Goodbye, family.